full disclosure, we had connected and you said that you wanted to get your truth out there. So I flew down to come meet you. I think a lot of people would ask, why now?
Well, I think it's pretty evident why, with what's obviously transpired. I just thought, with the time off I have right now, it's time for me to set the record straight and, reestablish what the facts are and what the truth actually is.
I think we should work timeline. And I want to talk to you, of course, about the 21-game suspension. You had said that a mistake was made. Can you officially say what that mistake was?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was an error in judgment on my part. I took full responsibility for it. Obviously, I understood the severity of it, and took the punishment on the chin. Obviously, I shouldn't have put myself in that situation. I don't have any excuses for it, and it's something that I've definitely learned from.
When you say situation, can you elaborate on that?
I can't. No, I'm not going to elaborate on what it was or what it wasn't. It was a COVID protocol violation. It was a big error in judgment on my part. But like I said, I've learned from that mistake. I served my time. It was unfortunate. I have nobody to blame but myself for that.
And to follow up, at the time that your suspension had come out, it was reported that there was 4 NHL players who were fully not vaccinated. Were you one of those 4 players?
I was not one of those 4 players.
Okay.
I was not.
So when it comes to rumors that you had fabricated your vaccination status, can you say that it was true or not true?
I can, when the question you asked in terms of was I one of the 4 players that was unvaccinated, I was not. I was vaccinated before training camp.
Okay, so you were fully vaccinated at that time. You tested positive for COVID-19 on December 21st, correct or no?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you were in Vancouver not too long after that. Yes or no?
I was in Vancouver.
So many people are wondering, how does that happen? Why is there an investigation?
I am not going to get into that. I can't get into it. There's a lot of different moving parts with regards to that situation, but I will say it's not as black and white as you think, and it's not necessarily what's being reported to be accurate.
So what's being reported that you violated COVID-19 protocols is not accurate?
The NHL was looking into seeing if I had crossed the border illegally into Canada.
Okay. And you feel you did not?
No, I don't even understand it.
Why don't you understand it?
Because I had 0 issues going into Canada, so I don't understand how you cross the border illegally. But
okay. Did you feel as though you had all the information making any decision that you made during that time?
With regards to what?
With regards to protocol, with regards to where you shouldn't have been, quarantining, all of that.
Yes, I feel that everything I did was by the book and upfront.
This is the second time, of course, that your name has been tied to, say, a COVID-19 violation. Do you feel as though it is fair to ask you about your status, to ask you about, what it is when it comes to kind of these guidelines?
Sure. I mean, you can ask away if you'd like.
Right. But when I do ask, there's no transparency.
Well, there's no transparency because some of these things are ongoing. Some of these things have possible legal ramifications or civil ramifications. I have filed a grievance with the San Jose Sharks, so there are certain things that I can't talk about right now.
Your private life has sort of become public with your ex-wife. There was a lot of serious allegations made. One of them, of course, was domestic violence. So I have to ask you, did you physically abuse your ex-wife?
No, and I want to be very clear about this for a second here. My name, unfortunately, has been tied to sexual assault allegations or domestic violence allegations or whatever you want to call it. That's a nightmare for me. It really, really, really bothers me. It's something that I would say that actually gets to me, which I try to not let a lot of things get to me. That gets to me because it's just so untrue, it's so false, and it's a horrific thing to be associated with in any capacity. So when people say, oh, I hit women, or I sexually assaulted somebody, or I hit my wife, like that is so inaccurate, that is so false, it really makes me angry. And honestly, that's the biggest and one of the biggest things I wanted to make very clear. I've never done that ever. And I know there's been certain accusations about different things that I've dealt with on more than one occasion. I'm very aware of that. But I like to look at the facts, and I let the facts do the talking, for me. But it seems that those want to be ignored. And I just want to make it very clear that that has never happened. There's a reason I'm able to sit here today. Some of the things I've been accused of are horrific. Like, reading them, I'm disgusted. I was accused of hitting my daughter in the face. Like, just the most ridiculous, outrageous claim. Obviously proven unfounded and a lie, essentially. So, for me to sit here and listen to people, whether it's on TV, whether it's on social media, whether it's in articles, associate me with those type of things and those topics, it's unfair, it's not accurate, and it's false. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how I can be more clear about it.
It wasn't news out of nowhere. It was from someone that you had shared a close relationship with. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, what would someone's motivation be to make false claims like this?
Well, I think that was, I think it was very obvious now, specifically sitting here today, but I'd be happy to run through that. I mean, I was also accused of gambling and betting on hockey and throwing games last year. I was the one that actually filed for a domestic violence restraining order against my ex-wife first, but that was never highlighted at all. We talk about certain things, and I get accused of gambling on hockey on my birthday by my ex-wife. I get told that I'm having a son with her on February 17th is the date she gives me. That's my dad's birthday. She comes out with a domestic violence allegations that were just sickening on the first day of training camp. These aren't coincidence. These are calculated things that she was trying to do to essentially ruin my career, ruin my life, and get full custody of our daughter. So unfortunately, it's become a sad situation. I'm sad that this has become so public. I never wanted it to be this way. I did literally everything I could to keep things in-house and deal with it privately for the sake of my daughter. But unfortunately, there was a different path that had to be taken, and they weren't because of my actions. They honestly weren't. So I think the courts, fortunately for me, have really seen what is going on here in this case, and but like I said, all around, I'm not even mad anymore. It's just a sad situation.
So can you, because it's become so public, maybe update us on where you are right now in terms of dealings with your ex-wife, but also with your daughter as well?
I have sole physical and legal custody of my daughter. And that's where we stand today. So
when you think of just how many scandals you've been tied to, and then you hear allegations like this, can you understand why people might not buy what you're saying as true?
Oh, I totally understand people questioning, what is really going on. But I also encourage them to look at the facts, what was accused, and then what were the results of that.
Specifically with the allegations of sexual abuse, domestic abuse, what would you want people to know about what really happened?
Specific to what incident? I mean, there have been many, so.
Right. I mean, you had said that it was you first who had filed for a restraining order. Mm-hmm. What happened?
Well, I filed a restraining order. I mean, what happened is in my papers. I would encourage everybody to go read those if they want. They're public record. There was domestic violence that was, unfortunately, that happened towards me through a relationship. I didn't report it. But, when it came time to file, my response to my divorce, my lawyers felt it was important to report those incidents. That's what I did.
Is there anything you regret when it comes to this becoming so public?
No, I don't regret any of my decision making with regards to my divorce or how I've handled it or how I've went about it. I've done everything I possibly could to handle it in the best way, not for myself, but for my daughter, who I love deeply, and put her interests first. And that's really been my mindset this entire time. People can think what they want, but that's really it. I never wanted it to get to this point. I actually was trying to do everything I possibly could to avoid this. But when somebody, kind of backs you into a corner, your options become more limited.
Well, I want to kind of get the full picture because I want to talk to you about probably coming off of one of the biggest years of your career. Mm-hmm. What was the feedback from front office, not just about your performance that year, but also just who you were as a person in relation to the locker room?
Yeah, I had, obviously coming into the season, I filed for bankruptcy maybe a few days into training camp. And that obviously, I know that's going to be embarrassing. That's going to be, it's tough to deal with mentally, not knowing how people are going to react. But, I had to stay strong and realize it was a personal decision that I was making for the betterment of myself and my family. And that's what it was. And going into that year, I wanted to have a strong season. I, wanted to do everything I could to help our team be the best that we possibly could be. And there's a lot of talk about me kind of helping some of the younger players along. And at the end of the year, obviously, personally, I had a great year. As a team, we not so much, which was unfortunate. But I had a lot of positive feedback from the coaches, the GM, management at the end of the year. That was not only said to me directly, but was also said in the media as well. Not even just at the end of the year, but during the season. How great I was with the young guys, being a team guy and so on and so forth. So on a personal note, I felt really good about my impact that I had on the group that year.
When we talk about your bankruptcy, was front office aware that this was coming?
I had made them aware prior to me filing bankruptcy,
Okay.
Yes.
When it comes to the conversations now that you're having with teams who are showing interest in bringing you on, can you give insight as to how many teams have reached out, how many teams were interested? Because when you think of what happened with San Jose, it was as if you had been exiled from the franchise. So how did teams become then interested in having you in their locker room?
Yeah, obviously I was blindsided by the contract termination completely. I was just having a normal afternoon that day and got a text message from my agent saying check your email, and I checked my email and saw what it said, and then realized that it had already been out there for 10 plus minutes on social media. So I had found out after the fact. So I was completely blindsided by it, and I'd probably say for the first 3 or 4 hours it was wasn't feeling great, wasn't feeling too hot, tough couple hours there. But after talking through it with the right people in my team, started to try to be more positive about the situation and look at the positives and the opportunities that it might provide. So that was really the only way to kind of move forward and change my mindset and get my mind kind of out of the gutter. So that's what we did. And then things happened really quickly. Well over half of the league had reached out to my agent probably within the first 48 hours. And it's kind of been a new experience for me, just in terms of talking to so many different teams, and but it's been I'd say a really good experience, because it's given me also an opportunity to share a little bit about myself and my story.
You said you were completely blindsided. I'm wondering, have any teammates of yours, former teammates, reached out?
They have. Joe Thornton was the first call I got, so had a nice chat with him for probably about 20 minutes, and it was nice to hear from a guy like that, and have his support.
I want to talk to you about Connor McDavid, because I'm sure that you've seen his quotes. You've been obviously heavily tied to the Edmonton Oilers. To have him come out and say, the process is the process, we're trying to figure out and let that play out, but I think that Evander Kane could be a good fit. What was your reaction when you watched that?
Yeah, I saw that probably a day after it came out. Yeah, I think it was unfair, the criticism that he received. I think we tend to sometimes overreact to maybe a lack of comment or a lack of insight that might be done on purpose. I think my reaction to it was, I was impressed. I was impressed because he doesn't know me personally. He doesn't know my story. I haven't shared any details with him regarding any of the things we've talked about thus far. And for him to have a even-keeled mindset and not make any judgments about myself before getting to know me, if that happens, I thought it was very impressive.
Before you had that press conference, did you both have any conversations?
Yeah. He reached out to me, just as part of me talking to different teams, and we had a great conversation.
Well, when people say they will do whatever it takes, we look at, say, Chicago and the controversy there, the stories, the headlines. They wanted to win a championship. Obviously, teams want to win or turn their situations around currently. To know about your situation, your background, what you are dealing with, what you have dealt with.
Yeah.
Do you think teams are willing to overlook that, or do you think they maybe know you at a deeper level?
I don't think any team is willing to overlook that, and for me, I don't want to go to a team that's willing to overlook that.
Okay.
The conversations I've had with teams have been very open, very candid, and very upfront, and I think fortunately I've given them an opportunity to ask the tough questions, and I actually want them to ask me the tough questions, because it gives me an opportunity to, tell them what really went on, or what really happened, or what's really going on. So I think for me, it's not about teams overlooking things. It's about having that discussion, them getting to know me getting to know them, and seeing if it can be the right fit. I think that's definitely a part of the process.
Your name has been tied to gambling.
Yeah.
So I need to ask you straight, do you have a gambling problem?
I did, 100%. I said that. I said that on ESPN when I did my interview earlier. That apparently that's all they focused on, because there was probably 45 minutes of other stuff that was said. A lot of that, kind of what we've talked about, that never made it to screen. But yeah, I definitely had a gambling issue in a certain period of my life, but fortunately for me, that's been resolved, and I'm very confident and comfortable saying that that's no longer an issue.
You had openly said that you were working with a counselor in order to address these issues. Is that still happening?
It is, yeah. I talk to my therapist twice a week. Still doing that. It's funny sometimes, and I'll share a little bit about that. One specific topic. Sometimes I feel like talking about it almost reminds you of it, and maybe you get an itch or an urge to actually want to do it. And I said that to him, I said, can we talk about something else? Because like, I feel like sometimes when we talk about it, because I don't think about it in my spare time anymore. I don't have those urges. I don't have an interest at all, really, in gambling anymore. And I think that is how I truly know that the issue's been resolved, and that's something I had talked about in my therapy. So it's funny, sometimes talking about it maybe doesn't help as much as you think, but we still go through that process.
So moving forward with that, when you're talking to the NHL about, and in their investigation, on whether or not you were throwing games, another allegation that was made, can we get clarity on that?
Yeah, I can re-clarify it again. I did none of the above. I'm the type of guy where I'm so competitive, and I want whatever team I'm on, I'm going to do everything I can to help us win. So I think I've shown that on the ice, and that speaks for itself.
You talked about people that really know who you are, the feedback that you've gotten from support saying, we know who you are. So I have to ask, who are you? Who is Evander Kane?
I'm a guy that's just clearly made a lot of mistakes, but I don't give up, and I'm loyal, and I care about people, and I'm somebody that I really do have a big heart. Having my daughter really changed me. Just as a person, and realizing what's truly important in life. And, she's been a big reason why I've been able to stay so positive and so hopeful through these tough times. Because, why do you do what you do? Why do you go to work and try to earn a living and create a life for yourself? You do it for your, if you have kids, you do it for your kids, or to leave them with something. So, a lot of the decisions I've made over the last year and a half, have been specifically thinking about her. Obviously, like I said, I'm the first to admit I've made mistakes, but I don't think anybody goes through life without making mistakes. Unfortunately for me, my mistakes are public.
Right.
But that comes with the territory, and I accept that, and I move forward.
Do you think that this has been your narrative? And when I say that, I say being a black player in this league, that if someone who did not look like you was kind of going through the same things, they would not catch this heat.
For sure. And people say, oh, you're playing the race card. No, this is just the facts. I can go back to Atlanta when I went to an all-black private school for underprivileged kids and played ball hockey with them and introduced them to the game of hockey, and I could see how much fun they were having. They never picked up a stick in their life. Then we go to Winnipeg my third year, and I'm talking about these things and these initiatives I think the league should be doing, our teams should be doing. Why aren't we celebrating Black History Month? I asked that question from age 20, and it didn't start happening until, a year ago? So, that's 8 years in between where I'm consistently asking that question. Why aren't we celebrate all these other things? Why don't we celebrate Black History Month? Why don't we have a Black History Night? I'm on record saying these things. Why can't we wear black jerseys or have some sort of special jerseys and warm up for Black History Month? These are things that I was suggesting years ago to acknowledge Black history in our league. Look at a guy like Tony McKegney. He was a phenomenal player. Phenomenal. Look at his numbers. How is that guy not in the Hall of Fame? Why isn't he in the Hall of Fame? I look at his numbers versus some other people that are in the Hall of Fame, and I just don't understand it. It took Willie O'Ree how many years to get inducted into the Hall of Fame? And I feel a lot of it, obviously with the George Floyd situation, where the entire world, really put a spotlight on racism and how social injustices are happening on a daily basis all over the world, not just in the US, not just in Canada, but all over the world. And, our league was kind of forced at that point to acknowledge it to some degree. You know, we came out, Akeem and I started the HDA with 7 guys, and you know, it was something that I was really proud of. It was something I thought was necessary, and you know, it was great to get everybody on board to form that group because it was important.
Where do you stand now with the HDA?
Yeah, I'm still a part of the HDA. Obviously, I haven't been as involved in the last couple of months as I would have liked, but I thought that it would be best for me to work on and deal with some of the personal things that I have been dealing with, because it is time consuming. You know, there's a lot of work that and hours that I put in and we put in as a group to make a lot of things happen and see them come to fruition even now, even with the Budweiser campaign and whatnot. There's a lot of man hours and calls and time on the phone that gets spent. So at the, you know, these last couple of months, I haven't had that type of time. I've had to divulge my time into other things. But you know, as things continue to get cleared up, I look forward to getting back into the group in the way I was before.
Evander, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.